Chelmsford Telemedia, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's now 7 o'clock on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. It's time to call this meeting to order for the Chelmsford Conservation Commission. My name is Carl Bischoff. I'm the chair of the Chelmsford Conservation Commission. This meeting is being broadcast and recorded by Chelmsford Telemedia and will be available on their website and YouTube. We have our first section tonight is open session. Are there any citizen concerns from anyone in the audience? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Okay, no, nothing there. So why don't we go to the certificate of compliance? This is the National Grid, 129-0923. David, do you want to preface this?
So, commission members may recall that the commission held off on approving the certificate of compliance pending removal of some, it looks like construction materials or something from the buffer zone. So National Grid has claimed they've done that and it provided photos in that regard. So I do see some stuff over here, but I haven't had a chance to confirm with them yet that it's outside the buffer zone. I expected them here tonight, but these photos do appear to show that they have removed everything.
Is there anyone from National Grid here?
No, I would have thought they would be.
Okay.
So,
but it sounds like they have done what we asked.
yeah, in terms of getting everything out of the buffer zone. Again, I don't know what this is over here. See me circling it.
Yeah.
But I suspect it's outside the buffer zone. I can, if you want to vote to approve it, I can confirm that.
Can't imagine they'd send us a picture that
Right.
didn't confirm what
Right.
they were trying to tell us.
Right.
I mean, just logically.
Yes.
Just, so I guess we're, any
Yeah, I would
conversation,
recommend
any
the commission
discussion?
issue it.
I think we're good to take a motion to approve the certificate.
Chris, wait.
Yeah, David?
Carl, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did we specifically request that they attend the meeting to discuss this?
No, I did. I did
don't think
not.
so.
I would have expected, though. I mean, I would have expected them to be.
Okay,
here.
no. Okay, so it's not that we said you better show up if you want this certificate of compliance.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
because I know we've been having kind of a running battle with these guys, and I wanted to make sure they weren't thumbing their nose at us again. Okay.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
No, I mean, I did tell them it was going to be on the agenda for tonight's meeting, and I would have expected someone would be here just
Yep,
to make
yep.
sure everything
Well,
was okay.
in fact, it's possible they're on their way. The way that the driving's not good.
Well, they
so-
generally attend by Zoom.
Oh,
So.
that's true. Okay, all right. That's correct. Okay, so I'll take a motion though. In any event, if
So I move that we issue an order of certificate of compliance for National Grid. Is there a file number, David?
129923.
Okay, 129923.
there's no, that's it. That
Yep.
no contingency. Okay, so we have a motion from Dave. Second from Bill. Any further discussion? No. All in favor? Aye. Dave and Chris
Aye.
and Dave.
Aye.
Okay, so we.
Aye,
have-
Dave McLaughlin's and I.
Okay, so, yeah, we have two members on the Zoom, so we do have a unanimous affirmation, so it's positive. This is closed. We will issue the certificate of compliance.
Can I have a comment about National Grid? The accident on Route 3, when they had all that spillage, they put the dumpsters on National Grid property up the road a little bit on Route 3. Are those empty containers, or they didn't appear to be sealed containers?
They were working there today. Clean Harbors was in there pumping.
But are those containers, the 30-yard roll-offs? They
Yeah,
didn't appear to have covers on.
There's a whole sequence what they gotta do.
But anything that when it rains out or snows out and it melts, is any of that product gonna come out and go into the,
You'd have to go over and check. But they were there today working. They got it all plowed out. It was
the median strip, or the, up there where the dumpsters
where
are?
the dumpsters are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a tanker in there from Clean Harbors. They had a hose going from one container, one of the rain from runs,
John, this is Route 3 and Boston Road?
Route 3 and
Route and Bill Ricker Road, rather?
Brick Hill Road. Yeah.
Brick Hill, yeah, okay, yep. Yeah, they've been there since it started.
Yeah.
So they must still, are they still working on the site, David Kuntz?
Yes.
As far as I know, yes.
I've seen them, yeah. I was there Saturday.
They promised to keep me informed.
Yeah.
You know,
Are you seeing any updates?
I've seen one, which I guess I probably didn't forward it to the commission. I'll do that.
Okay.
But they promised to keep me updated, send me all the reports and everything.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is,
Wait, did you get a vote on the certificate of compliance?
yes. Yeah,
You
we
did,
voted.
okay.
Yep. We have an update from our liaison with the planning board, so Mr. Lavalley.
Hello. So tomorrow is going to be our first planning board meeting since mid-December, I believe. We've got a few things on the agenda, mostly things that would overlap here are 10 Hildreth, 93 Burkhelm, and then 270 Billerica. The three projects were going to be on the agenda tomorrow. Brickkiln and Hildreth are primarily going to be traffic discussions with the traffic studies. Billerica, I'm not sure what is on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. The other additional item related to Hildreth is going to be a discussion with Paul Haverty on our jurisdiction related to 21 Phase 1 and turtle nesting habitat studies as it relates to subdivision control law. So the question is, do we have any jurisdiction to request those within the subdivision control law, or do they have to wait till we review plans, or at all? So
Okay.
that's going to be the discussion tomorrow.
Do we have any questions for Chris or any? Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now proceed into the regulatory section of the evening. First up is the Center Square Beaverbrook Walk. This is continued from October, and I believe they're requesting that it be continued once again.
Yes, and I can just give a quick update that DPW sent comments or responded to DEP's comments. My sense is that DEP isn't going to provide any more comments, although Trevor did send them an email today asking them if they had any more comments.
What were the nature of those comments, David?
That the DEP's comments said that they needed to show that the notice of intent complies with the performance standards for 310 CMR 10.584, which is basically for work in undeveloped riverfront area. DPW responded saying, well, no, this is degraded riverfront, which it is. It's mostly a parking lot. So DPW said, well, no, there's a different section. It's 10.585 applies, and showed how this complies with those performance standards. So we'll see where things go. In any case, they have requested a continuance to the next meeting.
Okay, I'll take a motion for continuing to the January, let's see, today's the 9th, what's
29th,
23rd.
23rd?
right there. I move we continue the hearing on Beaverbrook the Center Village to January 23rd.
We have a motion from Dave. We have a second from John. All in favor? Aye. Chris? Aye.
McLaughlin's,
Dave?
McLaughlin's and I.
Okay.
McLaughlin's and I.
Thank you. We got both online ayes. Okay, thank you. Motion passes, so we'll see them on the 23rd unless, we'll see. So, next up, we have the notice of intent from the Mass Department of Fish and Game for this is the Southwell Boat Ramp, 198 Watton Street. And David, do you want to set this up also?
Yes, yep. So, Carl, we did the site visit. You were there, Carl. You were there, Bill. So we asked for a couple of revisions to the plans, mainly to show the location of staging areas. So they have provided plans showing that. That's what's up on the screen right now. So here's this diagonal hatching is the proposed staging area. This is the overflow staging area, so it's at least, staging area is at least 25 feet away from the wetland resource area. So I think it looks good. I think they really, I think that was mainly it, so I think it's ready to approve.
And couple folks met with them out at the site
Yes,
a while back, I recall.
yeah,
Yep.
Carl, Bill,
2 or 3 weeks ago.
And I was
Wasn't
there,
that long ago. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at just you have an order of conditions, normal order of conditions?
Yeah, I think three special conditions. One is to provide the dewatering plan, which the contractor does, right, Doug?
Yes, that's correct. As part
Okay.
of our construction specifications, the contractor is responsible for the engineering of the copper dam as well as the dewatering. But schematically, we've shown on the revised plans a perforated pipe being installed within the coffer dam that would be surrounded with crushed stone.
Yes.
The sump pumps would be placed within the perforated pipe. The discharge hose would come up over the top of the coffer dam and discharge between the coffer dam and the floating silt fence, which is standard practice that we've used for many years, and has been very effective. So the design of the pumps would be the responsibility of the contractor as part of his dewatering obligations.
So it'll look basically like this, the dewatering plan, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's one special condition. Provide us with a copy of that. There is provide us with a copy of the Chapter 91 license, which you need from DCR, right? Or is that DEP?
Yeah, from DEP, we will, after we get this order of conditions, we will be able to file with the DEP Waterways Regulation Program for the Chapter 91 license. We'll get that. Army Corps of Engineers will be another permit that we will obtain, and then we should be good to go.
And then just the third condition, and we talked about this at the site visit, was just to provide us with weekly reports once the work starts.
With
Provide us-
pictures.
With pictures, yes.
Yep.
Weekly status reports with photos.
Yep, my office will have staff there on a regular basis. Our consultant, Nick Shaw, who's on the call tonight from CEI, Comprehensive Environmental, will also participate in a number of site visits as part of their contract with us. So we've got construction inspection and oversight covered pretty well there.
Okay. Hey, Dave, would you be able to mute? I don't know if you're able to mute your microphone. We can hear you coughing. Okay, so I think we're in good shape here. I'm willing to take a motion.
Carl, I'll make a motion then that we issue the order of conditions, standard conditions. In addition, 3 special conditions. 1, that we have a copy of the dewatering plan. Number 2, we get a copy of the Chapter 91 license from DEP. And also number 3, that we get the weekly reports, including pictures once the project is started.
So, gotta close the hearing first.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so thank you, Chris. I'll take another motion first. That would be to close the hearing.
So move.
So moved by Mark, and second by Peter. All in favor to close the meeting, the hearing? Okay.
Aye.
All in favor? Chris, I see the hand,
Aye.
okay, and I heard Dave, so the meeting,
Yep.
the hearing is closed. Okay, now we had a motion that I heard from Chris. It was well delineated. That's the motion from Chris. Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
Second from Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I hear Chris.
McLaughlin, aye.
And I hear Dave. Okay, so we're all in favor, so the motion passes. We are, we're ready to go, and you'll be seeing the paperwork from David in the next few days, if you reach out to David. Thank you both,
Really appreciate
and
it,
thanks
folks. Thank you very much for your help.
hosting us on the site.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, next up. Okay, so this one is the request for determination of applicability. This is the RDA for the after-the-fact filing for, this is continued from back in November. This is Littleton Road. I think we call it 0 Littleton Road. Is there a notice to be read on this?
No.
There's no notice, okay. And again, David, do you want to give us a little preface on this? Is Susan on?
I think, Susan, you're here, right?
Susan MacArthur?
She's been trying to get in.
I
Oh, I
thought I
think she
saw
was
her
on.
out there.
Yeah, I saw her there.
Yeah, we saw her out there.
She's probably on a video mute. But I did see her.
Same here. Yeah, I saw her out there for a little bit.
She asked to be admitted a number of times, and I'm not sure. I guess it hasn't worked for whatever reason. I can send her an email. Maybe let me.
No such luck.
You can hear the water run. So okay, we are in a moment of hold because we're hoping our next participant, our next contestant will join. Meanwhile, do we want to talk about 10 Hildreth for a minute?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
go.
there's she. Okay, let's see if she's in. Oh, there
Yes,
she
she
is.
is.
You there, Susan?
There's Susan.
Susan, can you hear me?
Give her a second. Sometimes it takes a second. She's on mute. Looks, I see a red mute.
Hi there, sorry about that. I was having a few technical difficulties.
Oh, we hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes.
We hear you fine,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
So thank you for being patient with me. Mr. St. John, the applicant, is not on the call tonight, but I just wanted to let everybody know that we have done what was asked of us by the commission at the last hearing. I did go out and delineate the boundaries of the 3 certified vernal pools. Thanks, David, for putting that up. They're in they're a little bit grayed out on the side. You zoom, yeah,
So
on
there are
the
four of
side. There,
them.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, those three.
Well, therefore,
And then the one, that one is a potential vernal pool, but that was delineated as well.
okay.
So, so all three have been identified and identified. That the one, the potential is a standalone, whereas the other ones are located within BVW, the BVW boundary already. Mr. St. John has removed the the metal storage unit that he had out there. So that is gone off the site. He removed a fair amount of the gravel. There's still some remnants of it out there, but he did take a lot of that out. And there is grass growing up through that area. And then, as you can see, he did get a surveyor out there to pick up the wetland boundary as well as the limits of the crushed stone gravel. And then I think it's hard to see, but there is, I think the surveyor identified where there's a debris pile. There's some brush. It's like just to the side of yeah, right there. Yep. So
But that's gone, isn't it, Susan? Or he was going to be removing
a
it?
lot of it is, there is still a little bit left out there, but he did have a fair amount removed. Yeah. It's starting to decompose, but there is still some out there.
So when you said the gravel some of it was removed, is there a way for you to give us an idea how much of it where?
I mean, I think he took the top, where it was a little bit on the thicker side. So I think what you see on the plan, yeah, right there. So it's grayed out. See where it says gravel, I think it says gravel apron.
Yeah.
So that is still there, but it's just, it's not that thick. Like I said, there's some grass growing up and through it. It's just a thinner layer, I should say.
So how close is the part of it up on the top right to that's a vernal pool 102? I'm just thinking that's...
Yeah, 102. Well, there's woods in between, so, I mean, it is kind of heavily vegetated.
If I remember, that's also the area where the storage container was generally.
Yeah,
It's-
that was where the storage unit was.
It's 30 or 40 feet if the scale on the map is accurate.
Okay.
Well, you see the 25-foot no disturb.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No build buffer, yep. Yeah, okay. Who else has questions, or what are we thinking, David?
Well, I can just give you my opinion. I think, with vernal pools, it's important to stay as far away from them as possible. So I think that in this case, I think that the parking area should be scaled back a little bit in the area of the vernal pools. Can you see the cursor, Susan?
You're not sharing your screen anymore.
Oh,
I don't.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
let me fix that. Can you see it now?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think my recommendation would be to, on this side, you see where I'm moving the cursor, have that be one side of the parking area, and then eliminate this as well. So have the parking area and that I think it should be, physically delineated on the site. you know, is both a visual and a physical barrier to keep vehicles from getting any closer than that delineation.
So it's essentially removing that left appendage and the right appendage.
Yeah,
Correct,
yeah.
yeah.
So, you know, if the gravel is mostly gone already, you know, maybe that's good enough. But I think something like maybe a split rail fence or boulders or something needs to be put in place to, you know, physically delineate it and make it a barrier. That would be my
I mean,
recommendation.
do you really want a fence out there? I mean, it's fairly natural.
Well, but,
Even some logs or something.
yeah, or maybe just like a hedgerow of vegetation or something, you know, some high bush blueberry bushes. But I think that something should be done to keep the vehicles from getting closer than that.
Okay, let's take,
Yeah.
go ahead, Susan.
Oh, I was going to say, he did throw down some grass seed mix, which was coming in, you know, the last time I was out there. I mean, I understand your concern, but I don't think anybody else is really using this. I think it's just his little hideaway area. So, you know, he can self-regulate as far as, you know, not driving over in those areas. You know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the commission does have a standard commission or condition in cases like this to at least delineate the 25-foot no disturb setback. You know, which I think would be important, at the very least to do that here, you know, near the BVW, so that, you know, there's no parking goes closer than that. And that really is not a big deal I don't think, to put something in here.
Yeah, I mean, he could put logs, I suppose, or something. We were hoping to close tonight. Is there any way that you can condition that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a standard condition.
Yeah.
You know, that the commission usually puts in that gives the applicant a choice, you know, or some other means that's acceptable to the
We've
commission.
done that many times, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, special condition.
Mhm.
The other, another special condition that I think should go in there is to limit the number of vehicles
Right.
on the site at any one time. So,
Yeah, like I said, I don't think there's a lot of traffic through here. I think it's really his own car coming
Is there
out
gonna be a
here.
gate on the entrance?
There is a gate now.
There-
you gonna
Well,
make
Yeah,
it's a chain, it's a chain.
It's just like a wire.
Yeah.
It's a wire strung across. It's not really
It's not like
you
a
know,
fire
a
gate,
formal gate,
but he has signage and a
Yeah,
wire.
it's signed.
he does have a sign that says no trespassing, I think.
If the gate or the wire, whatever you want to call it, stayed in place, and I think you don't need much to keep people out of the area, but I think a fence is the way to resolve it, and it won't become an issue. But but who knows if that gate's gonna stay?
yeah,
People are gonna come in just to go fishing, and you can't stop that.
right, I just don't know if he intended to like have, you know, visitors join him and so on. So Mr. St. John would be okay with a condition that says that no more than one vehicle at any one time be allowed on site?
I'm not sure, you know, since he's not here, I hate to say he's fine with that because I don't really know, but you could say one or two, I don't know.
You could say no more than two.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember when we were there, David, I think 2 would be fine with me.
Okay.
That gives him a little latitude. But I wouldn't want much, I don't, you know, it's been a while, and as this shrinks up, that gravel area, I don't think I'd want more than 2, but I'd be okay with
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah, there's not a lot of space left
Not a
there.
lot of space left.
Okay.
What are we
Uh,
doing there? Did we find out what we were doing?
It's just his hideaway, is all we understand, yeah. Dave McLaughlin, I think I heard you earlier. Did you have a question?
Well, yeah, I was, can you hear me, Nick? Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I think I've heard the answer, and that is, of this shaded area that David is cutting back on, how much of that did the client originally propose to use? I assume it was all of it. Was that correct? All of the gravelled area?
Well, yeah, I think.
Well, I think it was just, laid down. I don't know that he had any specific plans.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
Then what David's asking for is a reasonable request. I think if the client had plans to utilize the whole area, we might have other questions. The only other question I had, Mr. Chairman, is this location is out of sight from Littleton Road. Just everybody remember that. So we will not see what's going on the site without going into the site.
you can kind of see from the bike path on the opposite side of the river. You can look across. I'm just saying you can.
That's not how we're going to That's not how we're going to view what's going on. So I think having restrictions that seemed as onerous as Dave Kuntz suggested, or maybe as Mark suggested, are probably reasonable ones.
Yeah, and he probably is.
Until your client comes back to us saying, "Here's what I want to do now," and it's different. Okay, but in the meantime, I think you should be able to live with it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Dave. Chris, do you have anything?
No, I think I'm good. I think I'm ready to close the hearing. I'm good.
Okay, John? Good. Peter?
Good.
Good.
Mark? Okay, I'm good. So I'll take a motion to close the hearing. We have a question from the public. Yeah.
I was just going to say, so I'll mark up the plan, Susan.
Sure.
To delineate the parking area that the commission has specified.
Yeah.
Okay, we have.
And Dave Kuntz, are these 3 vernal pool areas, are they going to be registered?
Well, 3 of them
they
already
are.
are, I gather.
They are. That's good, because we have so few in the town of Chelmsford that are denoted. It's good to add 3.
Okay. And we have a member of the public.
Hi,
You look familiar.
this is Luna, 10 Carter Drive. So we're the ones who certified these pools, and I'd like to know, how long has this disturbance been in place? Has it been in place for over 20 years?
No.
No.
So
The-
then it came in place then after the vernal pools were certified. And
Yes.
the vernal pools are a resource area under the bylaw. And they have a buffer zone, they need that. And so I had previously, the last time I was here, I asked if they would show the 100-foot buffers for each vernal pool so that you would see what area, I mean, they at least have wood frogs, that's how they were certified. And so I think that you need to know what that is and be deciding how you want to treat. Like Dave said, we want to take good care of the vernal pools we have. Do we want to give them that 100-foot buffer? I mean, that's there for a reason. That's where the species primarily would be living. And so how much do we want to hold to protecting the buffer zone to a vernal pool? That's a question for you all to consider.
Okay, do we have any comments on that? Or-
May I just respond to that?
Sure, sure, Susan.
So the vernal pools are located within the delineated wetland boundary. So in other words, it already has a 100-foot buffer and some, because the vernal pools are within. So it's more than 100 feet for the buffer.
My point is that if you go 100 feet from the vernal pool, that line should show there so you can see how much of this disturbance falls within the vernal pool's 100-foot buffer, because it is a resource area on its own.
Oh, it's a whole site.
Right.
I mean, it's all.
And so
all
if
of it,
this
really.
doesn't predate the certification of the vernal pools,
No, this is about a year old.
Yeah, so then that's a question of how does the town want to treat the 100-foot buffer to a vernal pool, since that is where it's assumed that most species that use that pool live.
So am I understanding this right, that the 100-foot buffer means that we shouldn't be allowing any disturbance?
Well, that's a
Or-
question for you. I mean, I was one of the people working on when the bylaws were amended to make vernal pool be a resource area. And for me, that's why I was working to have vernal pool be a resource area, was to protect that 100 feet for that, because that's a different thing than a BVW in general. Yes, BVWs have the highest amount of presumed promoting the interests of the act of any type of wetland area. But then with a vernal pool, okay, there's something special that's going on there, and a vernal pool that's certified prior to a filing is supposed to have even higher protection than one that's certified after a filing process starts.
Are all three of these certified, or do I remember 2 out of the 3, or?
Yeah, three of them are. The 3 up here, this one is a potential down here, which I guess has not been certified.
Right.
Well, David, when you proposed removing the little dog leg that's near the vernal pool, the certified pool, I assumed you were going to eliminate the driveway, the parking, to get close to the 100 feet.
Well,
But I
that's.
guess I just assumed
Well,
that.
I said early on, when I think the first thing I said, that, yeah, with vernal pools, it's important to stay as far away from them as possible.
Yeah.
On this site, it's impossible to stay 100 feet away.
Yeah.
It's just not there. I think the other issue is that I don't think the commission can really deny all access to the property. That limited, even though this RDA was not filed as a limited project, limited projects do apply even to buffer zones of vernal pools. So I think that's the other issue as well. But that's why I said I thought that maybe a good compromise was to eliminate everything over here, and that as well. That to get a reasonable distance away from the vernal pool with regard to the parking.
Now, is the 100 feet specified in our bylaw? Or, I mean, understand that's what the bylaw just tells us.
It's certainly understood. I don't know that it does explicitly say that there is a 100-foot resource area surrounding vernal pools. It does say that in some bylaws. I know it said that explicitly in Lancaster, where I came from before. But I don't think it says it explicitly here in the Chelmsford bylaw.
I didn't find it, but I could have missed it.
But my recollection was that we added the vernal pools as a resource area, and then hence it would be, it'd be 100 feet from, a resource area, be it a bordering vegetated wetlands or vernal pool or, bank upstream, something like that nature.
And a
Remember-
certified vernal pool, right?
Well, the bylaws, I don't think specify in
Right,
advance,
it
but the
doesn't
Wetlands
specify.
Protection Act
Right.
does, it gives greater weight when it's certified prior to filing.
So where do we go here? What's the consensus? We have a suggestion on how to handle this.
Well, you could cut it back even further. You could basically say maybe just this access in here, maybe with then a turnaround, to get the parking area even farther away. The critters live in forested areas. They don't
Yep.
they don't live in open areas. So that's why, wherever the parking area is, that, everything, the area outside of it needs to be allowed to come back naturally.
Looks like it'd be hard to get 100 feet.
Yeah.
You can't, it's impossible.
I mean, here's the 100-foot buffer zone down here.
Right.
From
That's
the
the road.
wetlands.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can pull your car off the road, maybe.
I don't think,
Yeah, I'm not sure of that.
I'm not sure, you'd have to have a
Bumper might
small
be hanging
car.
out, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think we might be able to compromise certain things here. If there's nothing gonna be built there, and it's just a place for him to go watch the birds.
Not likely.
Well, that's the double-edged sword right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I know.
This may be the first time we've had to address this issue, guys.
Well,
Not with him. I mean generally as a commission. This
Well-
may be the first time where we've identified a certified vernal pool, and it appears that there may be activity within 100 foot of that vernal pool, and that we have a particular bylaw/regulation that says we have jurisdiction over that 100 feet. Now, if we have jurisdiction over the 100 feet, then we should tell the applicant what he can and can't do within that 100 feet.
but I think you need to be consistent as well.
Yeah.
And Warren Pole, you have like 5 or 6 parking spaces right up to the 25-foot setback from a vernal pool.
It's not certified, though.
It's the information's been submitted, we just haven't gotten it back from Natural Heritage yet, but it will be certified.
Yeah, I think it will, but
Where's the
it is a
pool?
distance. It's the pond coming in.
Yeah, the one on the right coming in.
On the right-hand side.
I'm sorry, so on that, did that parking lot though pre-exist submitting the certification?
Yes, it did. Yes. it did.
Yes.
And then this site here on Littleton Road was before the commission when I was a commissioner for somebody wanting to do something, and the commission did deny that, what was being asked at that time. I don't remember.
No,
the
I think it was
specifics.
might have been a little bit further down, Ruth, but yes, it's that general area where a number of people over the years have tried to
Right, I
build
assume
a
they probably
house.
didn't want it.
build a house there. Yeah, this gentleman apparently wants to use it to sit in his lawn chair and drink a can of beer.
So I think, from my point of view, I'm not comfortable right here, letting this go as it is. I'd like to understand this a little more. This is an interesting, somewhat of a twist, and I'd like to understand this more before, before approving this one way or another. That's my thoughts. What else? Anybody else? Today's point, we haven't really addressed a 100-foot vernal pool issue, and so I'd like to. I know, Susan, that your client would be frustrated, but that's where I'm
Well,
thinking.
I mean, I didn't file this as a limited project, but under 310 CMR 10.53, as David had said, I don't have the regs right in front of me, but basically, I think this driveway, if you will, if you want to call it that, it can't be denied necessarily if it's a limited project to access his property. So I realize, I hear both sides,
Yeah.
obviously.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, Mark?
I get it.
If this was
What's that?
proposed and done with a permit that, not after the fact filing, we probably wouldn't approve this.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm going, and I'm trying to get us to somewhere in between that and the fact that there's already been disturbance here.
I mean, there has to
And-
be a little bit of, buyer beware or
Yeah.
applicant beware when you do an after the fact
Yeah,
filing.
as much as I'd like to I kind of like to move on this, but I'm not comfortable with the way it stands. I think, Susan, to be honest, to a certain extent, to Mark's point, we could say the driveway is it. That might be the access. That would be a little extreme, just, and everything beyond that would have to be, all the gravel would have to be removed.
Okay.
So-
Well, just keep in mind that it's not going to be easy to back out onto Littleton Road. So I think at the very least, he should be able to turn the car around.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I'm feeling like I'd like to think about this a little more. I don't know, Bill? Yeah,
So what
Dave?
more information do we need?
Right.
Let's not just think about it. Let's decide, tell the applicant if we need more information, what is it?
Well, so what would we be approving?
Well,
Well, the applicant is asking us to approve what he has presented to us. We're saying we've identified 3 vernal pools and possibly another one, but 3 of them, and that we want some restriction on his activity within a specified distance of that vernal pool.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we start with saying, if we assume that we have jurisdiction within 100 feet of a vernal pool, what activity would we be willing to restrict him to? One extreme is he can't do anything within 100 foot of the vernal pool. The other is he can do some activity, and we'll define what it is. Can he park a car or a truck within 50 feet of the vernal pool, for example? We don't know how close to the vernal pool he wants activity. I suspect if we ask him, he'll tell us right up to the vernal pool. I mean, he'll want as much space as he can get. Now, if he's just going to park a vehicle or 2, maybe what we could say is split it in half and say, we don't want you to park within X number of feet of the vernal pool. And if you are, you can park no more than Y number of vehicles. Say 2 vehicles within 50 feet of the vernal pool. That's kind of just splitting it, right?
Two vehicles no closer than 50 feet. And the 50
Yeah,
feet would
that
have to be
well,
physically
I'm not-
delineated.
yes, right. I'm not suggesting that, but that's one way to address it. If the commission felt the way, we could say no activity within 100 feet. I don't think historically we've been that restrictive. That doesn't mean we can't be.
Hey, Carl, Chris here. So my thoughts are we want to avoid as much as reasonably possible, avoid and minimize or mitigate against any potential adverse impact on the vernal pool. So with that kind of principle, I would be okay with kind of having a gravel, driveway going in, some sort of a turnaround that we kept, away as much as reasonably possible from the vernal pools and had something of that nature, minimizing it as much as we could, but not totally taking away, the driveway and denying it totally, but something of that nature.
Okay. Anyone else?
And
Peter?
if I could add to that, Chris, doing some armchair measuring on this map, you could get close to 100 feet from the certified pool by eliminating the dog leg on the top right of the screen and a big chunk of the big square area, but then you could have the turnaround in the direction of the brush pile. And again, I didn't lay out the turning radius or anything, but just off the top of my head, that might be the ask, is to suggest that the applicant come back with the minimum turnaround space that he feels he needs and show us the distance from the vernal pool.
I think it's gonna be kinda hard to drive in to the vernal pool on the left and be 100 feet. That's never
The
gonna
one on
happen.
the left will be a problem, but again,
That's never gonna happen.
right.
But it's not
But
certified
I'm talking
yet
about
either.
the certified one.
That's the not certified one.
Right, yeah, it's likely, but it's not certified.
Okay, all right, so
And you're only passing by that.
you're only passing by it.
Right, and,
Yeah.
and David, I'd like your input too, but I mean, you could also minimize that dog leg on the gravel area to the left by that pool, John, that you're referring to.
Yeah,
So I think maybe Peter, what you're suggesting is maybe have this as like the turnaround area
Yeah.
right here, so back.
Or where the
back
brush
up.
pile is, or where the brush pile
Even
is.
further, yeah, but, so David, I think we're back to what you had recommended, including the, putting in some kind of barriers of some sort, which, to Mark's point, we don't know what's gonna be down the road, we can't, and Dave McLaughlin said, we can't see in there, so I think having, bushes or logs or a fence or something,
Some antique granite.
yeah. So I think that's where we're at. I'm seeing some nods.
Yeah, and I would just add too, looking at the contours, how come the brush pile couldn't be the turnaround? Or parking or something? Isn't that higher than the current
Yeah,
gravel area?
I think that's the issue
Or is it
you might
lower?
might run into is, how much cutting do you have to do into this?
You don't wanna-
I mean,
You
these
don't
are-
want to dig in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think these are 1-foot contours. Yeah, so, I think what he's already graded, I don't think you probably want to do too much more than that.
No. So how do we proceed? Do we suggest that are we going to approve this with those requirements and to get a marked up plan to me, to you, David?
Yeah, I think that's what's needed is the plan, showing the.
Well, but what are we gonna tell them about that 100 feet?
To meet it on the certified
You
pool.
you
can't.
can't do 100 feet. I think you could barely
Can't
meet
get it.
50 with the turnaround area.
Oh, no, you've got 40 feet. Well, maybe I scaled it wrong. You've
Well,
got
but
40
the-
feet now.
40 feet to the inch.
And you eliminate that dog leg in the top right, you
Yeah.
get another, whatever it is, 40 feet. And if you wanted 100 feet, you'd only have to give up 10 feet of the big gravel area.
Well, this is the 50-foot buffer zone right
Yeah,
here
yeah,
from
right.
the
You're way over
BVW,
here.
Yeah.
which is very close to
And the 100
the
foot is.
vernal pools on these sides, so,
Yeah.
on this side, so it's really this one that I think, and this one, which isn't certified. I think though, this one could meet 50 feet.
I see what you're saying, all right. I'm thinking of the distance for the critters from the vernal pool itself, but you're looking at the buffer.
Most of the apron's gone if you do that,
No, I understand.
100 feet.
Yeah,
Well,
Right.
so the
No.
parking would be.
Here's what, if you're 100 feet from this vernal pool,
Yeah,
the apron would get terminated right there. And all I'm saying is
From here?
you could still park in like this if you use the brush pile and back out that way.
right.
There's enough room, according to the map, if the map is accurate, just to park and turn around and be almost 100 feet from that vernal pool in the top right.
If you left the left dog leg,
Hmm.
you could definitely get it.
Well, that's for the engineer to figure out, right? A plan.
Yeah, this is getting into,
Yeah.
we're designing it
Design
for
it.
them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it looks like it's worth considering.
Well, then what I would suggest, and I know this was asked for previously, show the 100-foot buffer zones of the vernal pools, for the vernal pools. I think that will show one way or the other, the difficulty in staying out of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that the recommendation that you, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I think part of it depends on whether the hearing is closed tonight or not. Do you want the hearing to be kept open pending, coming back with a plan showing the 100-foot buffer zones of the vernal pools, and then a proposed parking and turnaround location that minimizes the distance or maximizes the distance?
Yes, with some sort of barrier, either shrubs or whatever.
Okay. So did you hear that, Susan? I mean, is that the consensus of the
Yeah.
commission?
That's what I'm,
That's where I'm at, David, well expressed.
Okay, I'm just a little confused on how we're gonna stay outside of 100 feet of the vernal pools.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to, but showing the
don't think we
100-foot
can.
buffer zones on the vernal pools, be able to maximize the distance, be a
Well-
little bit easier to visualize.
you're talking about the certified, right? Because
Yes.
the potential one is pretty close. I mean, it's, going to be within, well, even if we got rid of that little bump out,
Right, right, that's,
it's
yeah.
going to be close. Just so you know, the one on the left as you drive in, that is kind of bermed up. You can see the contours there.
Hmm.
So, there is a kind of like a berm and then it drops down. So that vernal pool is like
Elevated.
pretty isolated. It's not going to receive any oil spill, nothing's going to get into that is what I'm saying. Whereas the other ones are fairly flat, like it's, where that other, what is it, BP 102, that, that pool there, that, it's pretty level, it's pretty flat. It's same elevation as, or close to it as where the gravel apron extends toward it. So just wanted to clarify there is a kind of a difference. But anyway, all right. So yeah, we can show 100-foot buffer off of the vernal pools. Again, I don't think that we can avoid that being in it, because otherwise it would basically put us out at the road. And then we'll minimize the parking to 2 vehicles and, reduce the those, I call them bump outs, but whatever you want to call them, the
Yep.
stick out on the sides, yeah.
Okay.
And some kind of barrier.
And then barriers.
And then barriers, yeah. Which you said is okay to be logs. That's okay.
Does that defeat the purpose, though? I mean, the critters, are the logs a barrier to the critters that use the vernal pools, or do they just climb over them?
It depends.
Or do you want a barrier?
I mean, I don't think you want the critters going into the parking area
Right.
to begin with.
Right.
But I don't think it'd be catastrophic to them.
Okay.
But so obviously, Susan, the sooner you can get me a draft plan, the sooner I can give you comments on it. A draft
Yeah, I
revised
can.
plan.
Well, what I might do, David, is just take this and just mark it up to run it by you before I ask the surveyor to edit the plan, if that's okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
So I think we're at a point, do we close the hearing or do we continue the hearing?
Carl,
I think I heard you
Carl, I
wanted to
make a motion
continue.
that we continue the hearing to January 23rd.
That's what I'm thinking.
A second.
So, Chris, was that a motion?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So I hear a motion to continue the hearing from Chris to January 23rd,
3. Yes.
and second from Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chris
Aye.
Dave is aye.
and Dave.
Dave
Okay.
is aye.
Thank you.
Gary and I.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I ask that we review our specific regulation or policy as pertains to this no activity within 100 feet of a vernal pool? Because it is not a state regulation, correct? It's more restrictive than the state.
I'll go back and check that.
I just want to make sure we all, cause since we've never, this is the first time in a long time, if ever, I can remember us having this discussion, so.
I mean, if the key is to whether it's a resource area. If the language says that there's a 100-foot resource area surrounding a vernal pool, then yeah, that gives it much stronger protection and
Right.
and you an ability to protect it. Much
And I
better.
can't remember what it said, if anything.
I'll go back and double check.
So we'll know that by the next meeting.
Yep. I'll forward you that even next few days.
Thank you, David. Good comment, Dave McLaughlin. Thank you. Next up on our agenda, notice of intent for 10 Hildreth Street. This is also, I believe, a request to continue.
Yes, and again, I can give you a quick update. So they're still working with Natural Heritage to on an alternative plan. It's going to be reduced development from what they've submitted, but they still need to work out the details and get Natural Heritage's approval on that. So,
David, do you know if it's going to be reduced scope because of natural heritage?
yeah,
Or
I
in
think.
spite, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say at this point. I don't think that's a secret. So how much it's going to be reduced, I don't know, and that doesn't mean the commission can't require its own, evaluation.
Can we discuss this, or since they're asking
No.
to continue it,
Yeah,
can we not discuss
no, we
it?
really shouldn't be discussing it.
Yeah, just clarifying questions, I think, but
All right, the would that be the only outstanding item that we have as the Conservation Commission? The work they're doing with natural heritage, or are there other issues? I can't recall.
thought,
Well, there's the hydrogeo study that I feel we need the results of to,
But have we asked the applicant for them?
No, that's going through
Okay.
the Board of Health and the
Okay.
Water District,
Yeah.
but there's
Okay.
stormwater.
yeah, I was going to say we still have
and-
Okay,
stormwater.
so there are other open items that we need satisfaction on. Last question, and then you can go on, is do we have a peer review of the work they're doing with natural heritage?
No, but I did request a proposal from a consultant to do a turtle nesting survey.
Okay, because from my perspective, that discussion is too sophisticated for me. I need help
Yep.
in understanding what the approach is and what the solution is to wildlife.
Well, and that's the key point probably of this project. I was hoping to have this discussion much earlier, but they keep making requests for continuances.
Well, that's okay.
And
That's all right.
and well, I probably shouldn't say anymore, but
Yeah.
so they've requested a continuance to February 13th.
February 13th,
Yes.
okay.
No, I have one question. What about the flood storage there? The compensatory storage?
That's been approved,
From National
or at least
Grid?
the peer reviewer said.
National Grid?
Oh, that, the use of the easement?
Yeah.
No, I don't even think they've asked National Grid.
Well, all this hinges on that.
So,
Do they
Yeah, so let
understand
them-
that?
Well,
So-
they
so
were
John,
able,
let them spend money.
they were able to get
Particularly
some
from
of it out of
Oh,
the
okay.
easement.
Alright.
I'll go back and double check,
Yeah.
but I think
Okay.
some of it still
we,
is.
we are not in an open hearing on
Yeah.
this. We are getting a little deep into it. I appreciate the questions and the concerns, but I think we need to table that until we get an open, get the hearing opened again. So I will take a motion to continue the hearing to February 13th.
Dave McLaughlin moves.
Dave, motion from Dave, all in favor? A second from John, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I hear Chris and I hear Dave. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Next up on our agenda, notice of intent continued from the end of November for 93 Brick Kiln Road. Richard Kirby, LEC Environmental Consultants. Again, David, do you want to give us a
Well,
preface?
we have, so we received revised plans showing revised stormwater management, but we received those so late, our peer reviewer really didn't have a chance to review and comment on them. So, that's why tonight, I discussed with you, Carl, we're only going to talk about the revised turtle nesting area. So, Rich and Dan, I'll let you take it over from here. Can you describe the changes that have been made?
Sure. Just briefly, I'm Rich Kirby from LEC Environmental Consultants, and with me tonight is Ender Sarake, representing the applicant, and Dan Wells, our senior wildlife biologist. At the last hearing, we received some comments from the Conservation Commission and from citizen Ruth Luna regarding the turtle mitigation plan that we had submitted. The most notable points were the difference in the size between two turtle mitigation plans proposed depending on the phase one and phase two of the project. And we believe that with the revised plan, we've addressed all the comments, and we're hoping to come to some consensus on the turtle mitigation for the project. So then at the next hearing on the 23rd, we can focus on the outstanding stormwater management issues. But we're trying to make some progress and start to come to a plan set that the commission feels comfortable approving. So with that said, I can turn it over to Dan, and he can review with you the modifications that we made to the turtle nesting plan, as well as responses to Ruth Luna's comments, all of which are reflected in the revised plan. So take it away, Dan.
Thank you, Rich. Okay, what I'm showing on the screen is the current revised nesting plan. And so I'll walk you through the changes from the last version. And just to refresh your memory, this was the previous version where you can see, remember the project has a full build out design and an initial build out. And there was a difference in the size of the nesting areas between the two. So what the most important component of the new one is both of these are identical. So it's the same size, regardless of whether the full build out takes place or just the initial build out. So there's a table over here, the top left, that shows the comparison. So the initial build out was originally 9980 and now it's 13,300 square feet. The full build went considerably up from 4,340 to 13,300 square feet. So that's the first major change. The second part, I'll zoom in to the actual nesting area itself. And so the area in green is all going to be considered designed nesting habitat. These X's that are shown around the periphery, those are going to be signs that are, essentially calling this out as a protected nesting area, do not disturb. So those signs will be 8-inch by 12 inches on posts or affixed to the chain link fence. Another aspect of this plan is the addition of turtle gates. As you can see right here, there's two rectangles. So right in this kind of long straightaway stretch, we're proposing to add, in this unlikely event that a turtle does somehow make its way into the project area or the built up area, rather than being permanently trapped, they have two ways to escape and get out back towards the wetlands. So on the plan in the lower left is a detail. So it's a turtle gate and fence. So it's this was recommended by Ruth Luna from another project in Chelmsford where there were turtles. And so Hancock Associates had also designed that project. So this comes from Hancock. And so essentially what it is there's, if you look at this kind of this section view, there's a PVC pipe that's 24 inches. And this is the development side. So you can see here's the regular finish grade, but then it kind of goes up on a ramp onto the top of that buried pipe. And then there's a gap right here. So a turtle could, if it's trapped inside, it can just kind of go up this little slope and then kind of drop out. It's not like it's a tremendous fall. And if a turtle was trying to get up from the wetland side, it would hit this kind of slippery PVC pipe. And it's this distance is 12 inches. So from this level up to the top here, so it would be very difficult for a turtle, the size of a Blandings turtle, to get over this kind of slippery curved surface. So that's another important component of this revised plan.
Could I ask a question about that, please? This is Dave McLaughlin.
Go ahead, Dave.
Is that just what you described you want to put on this site? Is that what we see behind the credit union at the intersection of Turnpike and Bill Ricker Road?
I don't know the location.
Is Ruth still around?
Ruth was shaking her head no.
Okay.
I can
Different
relay
from
that.
No,
Okay,
it's
because
not
it's
what's-
different from that one. Okay.
Yeah, this is what was for 243 River Neck.
Okay.
So the PVC in this case doesn't run along the entire length of the chain link fence?
It's just in the vicinity of the actual gate itself, 48 inches.
So what will prevent hatchlings from getting through the chain link fence?
So I believe there's a 12. Let's see.
Both Scott and I did ask for a barrier, like a 2-foot high concrete wall, for that
Right.
purpose.
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's the flashing, but
We can double check that, David. We had talked with Brian about putting the slats in the chain link within the bottom section, so the hatchlings couldn't get through the spaces in the chain link fence. I don't think we need a retaining wall to keep the hatchlings out. I think we can just insert the slats into the chain link to effectively close it off.
Okay, well,
we would put fine mesh chain link at the bottom, say 2 feet or so. It would be like half inch by half inch fine mesh. I'm not sure if that made it onto the notes, but that's something we talked about. So we'll take a look at that.
We'll make sure that that's on there.
okay, I mean, something needs to be done in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And whatever you decide, please add it to the plan.
Okay. In terms of the monitoring, so the planting, we're going to plant 1,000 plugs of little blue stem throughout in kind of little clumps. That's going to provide some cover, so it's not just pure open sand. And that's a native kind of common bunch grass that often is found in known nesting habitats. So that's going to make it also provide some kind of stabilization for the slopes. So we're also going to, so this, a wildlife biologist is going to monitor this area we've increased the amount to 5 seasons, and that's going to take place during one visit per year during June, and time to try to optimize, the chances of seeing some nesting activity during the visit. But, then during the monitoring, if there's any evidence that, invasive species are coming in or whatever, the slopes aren't being held together properly, so we'll make recommendations to the permit holder, and it'll be their responsibility to follow up and get things corrected, based on the biologist's recommendations. And one other part, we had initially had some language about if invasive species are becoming established, we would potentially use, herbicides, but we've just eliminated that. So any maintenance will have to be done by hand. So there won't be any concern with herbicides at any time of year. So that's essentially the main points of the new plan. There is this letter that we responded to Ruth Luna's comments. I'm happy to go through those. I think Rich kind of summarized it, and this new plan covers pretty much all of Ruth's comments. So, but I'm happy to go one by one if that's commission's preference.
What are we thinking?
I haven't had a chance to read it, but
Did we get a copy of this?
Yes, we did,
Was it?
today. I think we got something, I got something today, I think.
No, we got a new letter from Ruth today, late today.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think what we're talking about here is the letter, the response to an earlier letter.
Yeah,
Her letter was
Right.
November 13th, so
Okay.
Right.
so I think I forwarded that to the commission last Friday. I'll double check.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it
on
in
that.
my grouping here.
Okay.
well, essentially, it's addressed because the nesting area is bigger. There was a discrepancy between the two sizes, so we solved that. And the turtle gates was her recommendation. There's some discussion about the lighting. That's been updated. There's a landscape and lighting plan that describes the lighting, and then a comment about the inspection. So we clarified that. There will be five years of inspections during June. And the timing yet, no herbicides. And then there's a snow storage comment, and that was addressed. Everything's being pitched towards catch basin. So it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I won't speak for Ruth, but we feel we addressed her concerns from that November letter.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that we saw that response.
Yeah, I didn't find it either.
This was, give me a second here. I know, David, you added this. DEP, RDA follow-up.
This design for this area, so this would not change regardless if you went the phase one or the phase two? This is this wouldn't have to be adjusted down the road, or would it?
Correct. No adjustment needed.
You know, Billy, you noticed that the picture he shows are exactly the same, regardless of the phase.
Yeah. What,
I don't, unless there's something glaring in Ruth's letters, which are always to the point, and we do address them, we don't have to formally ask the applicant to respond to Ruth. If he so chooses to, that's fine. I think we've got our own peer review and we've got our own conservation agent. If they think we have adequate answers, that should be okay with me.
I just want to understand something, and what triggered the design for the turtle nesting area in the beginning? What prompted it on this?
Really,
project?
there's no regulatory requirement for us to provide this turtle nesting area. During the hearing, and during the site visit with David, it was brought to our attention that it's known that turtles of all types use that large wetland system. So it was really just in an effort to, do the right thing and provide some turtle mitigation to offset any perceived impact associated with the project. So there is no regulatory requirement for us to be doing this.
I highly recommend it.
Billy, we've requested that the applicants do that in the past.
Right, I know that. I'm just more curious than anything what prompted them to do it.
It was our conservation agent.
Okay.
Particularly where I knew there was a rare species record for a blanding turtle not too far away.
Right. I appreciate you doing it. I appreciate you designing it and putting the effort into it. I didn't know where it came from, if it was regulatory or not.
Yep, it's simply to try and provide adequate mitigation to move the project through the permitting process.
Okay.
So the way I understand it, we had questions from Ruth. They've responded with a response that I don't think we've seen yet.
No, you're right. I did not send that out. It's actually in a link.
Okay.
a link that they provided.
Okay, and then in the meantime, we have a new set of questions from Ruth, which we just got this evening. And I'm not sure of the nature of those. I haven't read through them, but my guess is they're on top of the questions that we've asked already. So my suggestion would be, it seems like we're making good progress. We're certainly continuing the hearing in any case, and we're not closing anything off at the moment. So I think in the interest of moving forward, what we would say is, let's get a chance to review the letter. David can send us the link so we can have a chance to review the response. If you could also send the new email from Ruth to the applicant. If there's anything, I don't know the delta between what was already responded to and what this new set of questions is. And then we can have a small section, hopefully small section at the next meeting when we're focusing more on the other areas, the stormwater and the other.
Well, now that Ruth is here right now, why don't we just ask her to summarize her
That's perfectly fine, yeah.
her latest letter?
Yep. Knowing that we'll forward the letter, but yeah.
And
Thanks. So I summarized through the points I have on that. One that I hadn't so much noticed the first time through is the retaining wall that extends into the nest management area. And that retaining wall in the initial, not full build out, whatever that's called, it didn't extend into the nesting area. It only extended with the full build out. Now in this version, there's a retaining wall that runs all the way up to here. And so I was curious as to what the impact, what's known as to what's its impact on nesting, and since it doesn't, I couldn't find where it said what its finished grade is. I didn't know, is it actually putting some area into shadow that really isn't now getting sun? So that was just a question on that. As far as the side that goes toward the wetland from that retaining wall, at least the way I'm reading that plan, there's no sloping. It's just a level area, even though in their write-up they acknowledge that you should maximize having sloped areas for the nesting. And so I was wanting to know why the part that's southwest facing doesn't come with a slope. So that wasn't making sense as an improvement.
do you know the answer to that question, Rich and Dan?
They're muted.
You're on mute.
Both of them are muted.
Thanks, sorry. I think the retaining walls are now present within the green area because the green area has expanded, toward the development, right? It was 4,400 square feet and change and 9,000 something square feet. Now it's 13,300. So we've enlarged it. So it's not that now we have retaining walls that we have extended into this area. It's that the turtle mitigation area has expanded back, and those retaining walls are necessary to limit the grading. In terms of the slopes that Ruth is referring to, if I could share my screen for just a moment, let me find the plan. So there are no slopes proposed here. There's a naturally occurring slope that descends in a westerly direction toward the wetland line, but we're not proposing any grading in here because there's no need to. So we're still in a south-facing slope. It's just not as an abrupt of a slope as, say, for example, the grading that's proposed over here. So I'm not sure if that answers the question, but I think that's where you're going.
So that area there, previously in your earlier version, the larger size nesting area did have sloping on that southwest side, and the bulk of that.
Are you talking about this area here where I'm running my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, that area did not exist on the previous
I'm
plan.
saying that what corresponded to that on the larger nesting area the first time around, I don't have that with me. On
I have it right here.
there was sloping on that southwest.
Right, here's the grading that's proposed.
So it did
Up
go
gradient of
from
wetlands,
118
you know,
to
8, 9, and
112.
10, the flagging 8, 9, and 10. Here's flagging 8, 9, and 10. There is some grading proposed right in here. You can see a slope contour proposed in between the no disturbance zone and the limit of work. But all of this area was not included in the original enlarged plan. So there is a naturally occurring slope. The slope on the site descends in that direction. So we do have a south-facing slope. It's just not as abrupt with grading as this section over here. So I still think it's going to function. Dan, do you agree?
Yeah, I think you described it well. I mean, yeah, we don't, there's not a lot of space between the wall and the wetlands. So, and, you know, turtles do nest on more kind of flat surfaces too. So it doesn't, we're providing kind of a mixture. There's a very sloped area to the north, and then that southwestern portion is more kind of, maybe it's flat. There's going to be I would imagine a slight, you know, following the existing kind of slight contours down toward the wetland, but we wouldn't want, being that close to the wetland, we wouldn't want to have much of a slope for erosion purposes. So I think, yeah, so I don't think we would want to propose too much in that area, and it is inside, you know, it's very close to the wetland, like I said, so I think it's best to I think as is proposed is sufficient.
Okay, so if I could come and meet with you, David, and try to explain to you later if that works better. The retaining wall, though, to make a correction, that length of retaining wall was proposed in the original full build-out, and now it's just there throughout. So that retaining wall wasn't extended because of a change to the nesting area.
It was.
I respectfully disagree.
Do you have the earlier one? I mean, I don't have it with me.
Yeah, I'll share the screen again.
Okay.
You can see here, this is the current 13,300 square foot turtle nesting area. This is the retaining wall that you're talking about.
If you would bring up the earlier version.
Yeah, so this is the earlier version. The retaining wall is along here.
No, it's
So
this one.
I guess maybe it was extended a little bit. That's to wetland flag 10.
And
That's to wetland flag 6. So yeah, you're correct. I stand corrected. I apologize. We'll talk with Brian about why that retaining wall was extended, but I think it had to do with, you know, expanding this area and making the grading work for both situations. Is there a concern that you have with the retaining wall?
Well, the retaining wall, I was just curious why it's there and what its impact is, and is it casting a shadow where I don't know what the finished elevation is of it. My bigger concern on that end was the lack of sloping on the southwest facing, but I'll go over that with David. I don't mean to make this go long. I could just go through the other points. The conservation seed mix that I had previously pointed out had been included in the nest management area, that they said that they have addressed that. They mention it on the site plan. They show what it would look like, but they don't show anywhere of where it is. So I have no idea where they're proposing to use conservation seed mix at this point. So
we're not proposing any conservation seed mix within the turtle nesting area.
No, my point is if you go to your new plans, page 7, your landscaping plan, it shows it on the site. It tells you what it is. It tells you how to apply it, but it never shows you where you put it.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. On the lighting, since I agree with what David is saying, my questions on the lighting are that I know that lighting can draw hatchlings as they emerge from a nest. And so, yes, if there is a physical barrier on the bottom of that fence that keeps hatchlings from coming through, that was my main concern about the lighting. I hadn't noticed before how close the full build-out parking lot is to the nesting area. It's less than 15 feet away. From our experience in tracking turtles during nesting, if they sense there's humans nearby, they will interrupt their nesting activities. So I'd like to know, could you put a visual barrier of some kind, either arborvitae's or whatever, so that they would be less likely to see people? Because I've seen turtles abandon nests that they've invested already digging.
Wasn't there going to be, like a black, siding put on the fence? Dan and Rich, or am I thinking of something else?
I don't recall, yeah.
Yeah, there was the idea of putting the slats through the chain link toward the bottom as one way of keeping the hatchlings out. I suppose we could extend those slats up for the full length of the fence to provide that visual barrier that you're looking for.
I mean, I think that there is covering you can buy for, these fences.
Yeah, the chain link, they're the plastics or aluminum slats that sort of slide and weave through the chain link and basically make it a privacy fence.
Okay.
My other questions then were about the long-term management related to that, where they're talking about only one visit a year. If you're looking for the monitoring of the area to tell you how successful it is for turtle use, it's pretty unlikely that somebody going there just once in the year is going to be able to tell you anything meaningful about turtle use.
Well, I think the intent of this nesting area is to provide the habitat. We're not intending to do a thorough study and evaluation of how it's being used. We know what the habitat needs to look like. We know, how well vegetated it needs to be. We know that we can't have invasive plants in there. So the intent of the annual monitoring is to make sure that the habitat is there and it's functioning and acting as designed. We're not intending to do an analysis or study of whether or not, to what extent, what type of turtles are utilizing this area.
What about doing, say, one more visit annually, say in like October, to look for shells, to look for evidence that there actually, has been, some kind of success. I mean, would that be possible?
Well, I'll bring it to the client and we'll consider it. But again, the intent of this is not to, document utilization. The intent is to document that the habitat as designed by professionals is there and functioning. And if the turtles use it, fantastic.
I'm okay.
Then as far as the, how long did you want the area being monitored if the purpose of the monitoring is to ensure that, for example, the plant growth stays in the area where you want it? Is that something you want stopping at 5 years, or do you want it to continue on? That's the question for the commission. And then also the uprooting of plants, I think that should be restricted between November and March, like other activities, because you don't know where there's a nest in the area and you don't want to be disturbing that. And then I had a question on the little blue stem grass. Looking at that I was curious if they would show exactly a better sense of where they intend on putting that, because reading about it, I saw that the spacing that they're recommending would basically be the space apart of a fully mature plant, and so it would be wherever you're having it, then you're filling the whole area with that, and that's then not going to be as great, that spot for nesting. And the other thing is that it's a plant that will self-seed, and so how much of the area is going to start to get filled with that inadvertently? And so those were questions that I wanted you all to consider.
So all these points are in your letter, right?
They're all in my letter.
Which I will forward
Okay.
to you.
We can provide a response to that. Just on a quick note on the spacing of the blue stem, with this being a 13,300 square foot area, that means each plant will, it won't occupy this much space, but each plant is given roughly 13.3 square feet of space. Typically, when you're planting blue stem as a cover in order to establish or any sort of perennial plug, if you go to New England wetland plants and you get a flat of 50 blue stem grasses, or a particular sedge or a wildflower or something like that. When you plant those, you typically plant those 1 foot apart on center. So if we were looking to, revegetate this area with as a blue stem meadow, we'd be putting 13.3 times the number of plants that we're specifying here. Also, the blue stem plugs are not necessarily going to be installed equidistant from one another in a grid across the entire restoration area. They're going to be installed with some discretion from the supervising wildlife biologist who's familiar and educated with these sorts of things.
Okay.
So the idea is to create an area that the turtles are going to use. In terms of self-seeding and spreading, I'm a little reluctant to see that happen. I'm a little hesitant to see that happen, particularly when we're dealing with a straight sand soil with very little organic matter in it. I think the likelihood of those seeds germinating in that area are probably going to be less so than if they were in a more natural area with topsoil.
Okay. I think we're at the end here. I'll take a motion to continue unless there's any further. Do we have, yeah, let's summarize like the questions that we have and what's next. Peter, you have a question.
I just wanted to comment to the team of everybody working on this. Thank everybody for the work. I mean, it's a great idea.
Great, thank you.
And yeah, thank you.
So we will review the response that we have so far, or we'll get momentarily or soon. In the meantime, the letter that Ruth sent tonight will go out. We'll get another response on that, and then we'll continue at the next meeting, and we'll be moving on to other topics as well.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. And David, if you could email Ruth's most recent letter soon, perhaps tomorrow morning or something, we can provide a response relatively quickly. So that way the commission has plenty of time to review it before the hearing on the 23rd.
Thank you, Dan. Okay. I will take a motion to continue. Are we looking at the next meeting, the 23rd?
Yes.
I think? Okay.
That's correct.
I'll take a motion to continue this hearing for the 93 Brick Kiln Road to January 23rd.
So moved.
So moved by Mark. Second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I see Chris.
Dave McLaughlin, aye.
And Dave McLaughlin, aye. Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation and your discussion tonight. And
thanks, everyone. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yep. Okay. Keep moving here. Last on our regulatory hearings is the request for amended order of conditions 129-931. This is for 270 Billerica Road. And I believe we have a request to continue this one as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. So, again, I can just give a quick update.
Yep. If you could provide us with a few things. I know there's a couple things that have.
Yep. So a list of questions has been submitted to the Beta's LSP peer reviewer regarding the most recent soil sampling that was done on the site. The applicant's LSP, submitted a report on that sampling, and which has generated a number of questions and comments. So those have been provided to the Beta's LSP. Rob Smith, yes, and so waiting for those responses. And then I think at some point shortly after we get those, there'll be then another meeting of the working group to talk about that. There's also been some additional. Well, there's one additional test pit that was done for the redesign of stormwater. Based on the direction that's been given the applicant to not have any infiltration on site, but I think we want to resolve the the contamination issues first.
Yep.
Before we get back into stormwater.
Okay.
Good.
And no further discussion since it's not a hearing, but thank you for the update. I'll take a motion to continue until January 23rd. Any, Moved by Peter, second by Bill. I think you're
That's
second.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Chris?
Dave McLaughlin, aye.
And Dave, aye. Okay, all set. Okay. Very good. That concludes the regulatory section of our meeting tonight. Thank you very much. We will now go with continual business, which is the update on 35 Brick Kiln Road.
Afraid nothing
Staying
new.
right in the same neighborhood.
Nothing new on that one.
Nothing new. Okay, let's go another meeting, but I want to. I don't want to let this go much longer. Yeah, we got to do something here.
They still saying it's means of doing it?
Yeah,
So saying what?
the means.
The means to do it? Is that what?
Financially, I actually haven't spoken with them in a while. I think the best bet is to try and piggyback on the building inspector. So I'll
Talk to Jose.
I'll really press him.
Okay.
David, a question. Have we heard from residents at the beginning of 35 Brick Kiln?
Yes.
And they recall quite a few residents had some thoughts. Have we heard anything
In a minute.
since then from residents?
No.
Is some of the issues they were concerned about, I guess, no longer
Well, I
causing them to make
I
phone
don't know
calls,
for
or-
sure. I think they were mostly concerned about the operation of the business out of the property.
burning
So
and
that's
that kind of
so
thing?
that's what I want to touch base with Jose on.
Yeah, that's sort of more leverage than we have.
See where that stands.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's do an update on the Warren Poll CR. If you want to pull up that document I gave you, David. We are hitting the final stage here,
No, that's not the right
believe it or
one.
not. So if you recall, back in August, we did a review of the CR, of the conservation restriction, that I then subsequently made the similar presentation of the select board. From that session in August till now, we made a handful of changes. Number one, I'll go through these right now. We changed the document to use the latest state template, which was April 2023. There were really only minor changes in the template itself, including like whoever's in the signing, the signatory of the government changed, the person changed, a few other things. But we changed to a new template, which just helps you when you're submitting this to the state if you have the latest revision. There were a lot of typos and formatting issues and a few wording changes that were throughout the document when we cleaned it up at the same time. Meanwhile, Dale, we sent a copy to Dale and the Land Trust back in December, and he got back to me with one proposed change to the values. Meanwhile, we had already made some additions to the section 2 of the purposes and the values, which you can see here. We had 7 conservation values initially, and now we added 5 more, and so we went up to 12. So the values are in the upfront part of the document, which are kind of saying that this is what's important to this piece of land, specific to this piece of land. These values are all part of the template, except for one of them that we had put in way back when, which was on educational resources. So the 5 that we added since the review in August are about the floodplain, biodiversity, habitat connectivity, wetlands, and climate change resiliency. So these are good things to have in your document to say that your property is providing some value in those areas. And so we added the wording for that. And the Land Trust was okay with all of that, but they, in the meantime, wanted to add a new value, and this was, in my opinion, a little last minute, and and a little vague in that what they wanted to add was the value of scenic protection to preserve and maintain the historic meadow views along Putnam Brook. I'm very torn on this. I'm kind of like, I thought we were done, and so they were adding this at the last minute. I think it's a good value in that we all agree that when you walk into that site and you go past the kiosk and you see this open field, that's the money shot. That's the beautiful scenic vista. I totally agree that we want to protect that, but I guess I will say I'm a little frustrated that it was kind of so last minute. I also don't know how you audit or protect for that. That's a little vague and difficult to quantify. It's not like saying don't build a building or something like that, which is pretty straightforward. So
I've had a few more thoughts on that, Carl. I'm not saying that I can resolve it completely, but I think it's the issue of separate concern. So if that's going to be added as a conservation value to be protected, then I think that needs to go into the BDR. That there needs to be, and we'll see if Ann has put those photos in there, but they really then should be photos of the scenic view as it now is, and so if those are not there, then that needs to be added. They need to be added if this is going to go into the CR.
that's a good point, because the BDR would be what you're
That's right. Yeah.
going to document, or what you're going to. It's the baseline. So.
Yeah. So that means it may delay the BDR.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my feeling is that it's too late. I'm really trying to get this done. We believe that the scenic value of this is there. I don't see that changing. I'm just trying to. We've been pushing this for so long. I'm just trying to get it done. So. I'm just.
Question, was the land trust thinking that they wanted to kind of preserve that as a wet meadow? I mean, they're not saying that, they're saying scenic, but it is also a somewhat unique habitat called a wet meadow.
But I think that's
which is good.
Yeah, but I think we actually have that in there. We do have wording about meadow and. I don't know about specific.
Yeah, keep it that way.
Yeah.
Which all I'm saying, I mean, that's not very specific, but that is, in essence, maintaining. If you maintain a wet meadow, you're maintaining the view. That's all.
Come on, guys. No more changes.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years. That's kind of where I'm at. Is we this was very kind of they said everything was fine, but we want this one last thing added, and I'm just kind of. And the other thing is, that's not included in the template, that terminology of scenic protection. This would be a value. Now, we already have the educational one, but that's been in there for 3 years now. But the scenic protection is not at least it's not in the current template. So I'm gonna continue with staying, I value it. I think it's important, but I'm trying to move us forward here. We're trying to get this done. I was trying to get this in front of the select board. Right now, the timing is to do it in 2 weeks, and I don't think there's a real downside to this. So, I think we'll just continue with that. That was my response to Dale was, thanks, I don't know, thanks but no thanks. But yeah, we agree with the principle, but we're kind of moving on. So. The BDR, speaking of that, so the BDR, I know that you said Ann is very close to be done. Hopefully she got out to the site before all the snow.
She got out on the 31st, yeah.
Oh, good, okay. I knew it was close. Nice way to spend New Year's Eve. So that's Ann Capra getting that done. We are still waiting for the official plan to be completed with Hancock.
So what 3 parcels are you referring to in that, Carl?
Well, the final plan should include the whole set of parcels that were acquired.
I mean, a final plan of the whole parcel is not being done.
Oh.
I mean, we have.
Is this just the official plan for the easement areas?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Although the surveyor did end up doing a new plan, a parcel B, which is
Okay.
identical to the previous one, and then a plan for the assessor, the other assessor's parcel.
Okay,
But-
okay.
But yeah, and then there's going to be a plan of that wedge-shaped piece.
Okay.
Showing both the access easement and the portion of that parcel that's covered by the CR.
Okay. So I would like to look at all that before we do submit to the state, but I'm okay with still putting this in front of the select board, because that's kind of a detail they're not gonna get, they're gonna depend on us to make sure it's right.
Well, Ann, I believe Ann is putting all of those plans in the BDR,
Got it, okay. Okay, which will be part of the submittal,
part of the,
submittal to the state.
no, I don't think.
The BDR doesn't get-
No, I don't know.
Okay, I thought it was part of it.
No, it did, the CR draft references the
Got it.
BDR, but they don't care
Okay.
about seeing the BDR.
All right. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand the sequence. So then, we can still submit the CR even if the BDR isn't 100% final?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
although
got it.
I'm hoping it will be.
Yes, we really want it to be, okay. So that's there. The easements, we do have the Hall Road, that one's complete and recorded. The Parker Road one still needs to be drafted. We've been talking with the town council on that and really needing this updated plan from Hancock. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I mean,
deliverable.
it's really it's already been drafted. The issue is, how much is the draft gonna be revised? So,
And per Chris Alphen, the town council, he said that the CR can be submitted. It would be very good to have the
The plan.
documented plan included, yes.
We should have that
Yes,
shortly.
okay. And then the last thing, which was an open item, was that I did request this from DPW, but I'm gonna guess it got lost in the shuffle, was to have an as-built plan of the new driveway and parking lot. Again, not necessary for the submittal to the state, but we do need to stay on top of that and get it, because that needs to be part of the CR when it gets recorded.
Yeah, because that's really another documentation of existing conditions.
Okay, so my understanding is Dale and the land trust are meeting this week. It might be tonight or tomorrow night or Thursday night, I'm not exactly sure when. He wanted to talk to me after they met. I'm gonna stay with our position that we're not gonna include that adding the scenic value. We'll see what he says. But, this is our CR in terms of what's in there, so we'll see how that goes. Then,
Just getting back to the as-built plan for a second, Carl. So you need to specify and is it Christine you're speaking to?
yeah,
You need to specify her that the as-built plan needs to be recordable.
okay, got it. Thank you. And then 2 weeks, I would present this to the select board for approval, but that's assuming I get an okay here from my fellow commissioners. But I think from our point of view, we're done. This is it. If Dale completely doesn't accept doing that, either we're gonna go to another CR holder, which I can't imagine we're gonna get there, but I'd like to get the approval of the commission to move forward. These were the changes from what we did back in August. As you can see, we added some values, which to me is a good thing, and beyond that, there was some wording and some typos, a lot of formatting, but other than that, it was the same document, and again, in the new template, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, assuming there will be questions or answers, you want a motion from the Conservation Commission tonight to approve the conservation restriction on Warren Pole as presented to the Conservation Commission at its meeting of January 9th.
Yes.
That means if there are subsequent changes, there would be another vote.
Correct. Correct.
I think.
Any questions from anyone?
I think you've done a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
there's a lot to that, and I appreciate it. And Dave's done a lot. You've done a lot.
Yep.
Dave has. Everybody
Okay.
involved.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, I think
And you got a sign.
and we got to sign, yeah. So I think we're in a
money
good
back.
position, so I'll take a motion.
I move.
Per Dave's
Per David's
description, okay? Motion from Bill,
Second.
second from Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Chris, I
Dave
see you
McLaughlin,
waving,
aye.
and I hear Dave.
Dave
Aye.
Mc-
All right.
Dave McLaughlin, aye.
Thank you very much, everyone. So, continue on land management. John, do you want to give us a little quick update on our coolest meeting last week? I've heard some stuff. I heard it went well. It was animated in a way, but very
Yeah.
positive and good. And,
It's positive.
yeah,
There's a lot of people that want the 6.5 acres.
that's the field between
Yeah,
the
it's-
Pine Hill and the
yeah.
highway, but yeah, yeah.
I think the Agricultural Commission and the town's looking for some community garden space
Mhm.
and some agricultural, passive agricultural.
Yep. Like maple trees or,
No, I'm talking the hayfield.
oh, hay,
On the
yeah,
six and a
okay.
half acres, that's what some people are leaning towards. There was discussion of the pet facility.
The
but
wildlife
you
refuge.
can't have community gardens
Yeah.
next to wildlife. Okay, because they just, they decimate if they,
Yeah, well, she's currently in a neighborhood, and it's all self-contained. It's quite impressive
this- yeah.
operation, but
This is a rehab facility she runs.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
rehab.
There
Not
aren't
a
animals
release.
running.
Yeah.
Running around loose.
Okay,
okay.
yeah. So you're, did you guys go on a site walk or?
No, we had the snow.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not
All right.
gonna walk that site. I did suggest that the house get torn down ASAP before we have problems,
Yeah.
before kids get in there and.
Yeah. Paul's been aggressive on that, but
Well-
the historic commission has to do some kind of review.
I-
But
Paul said that's on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
okay.
which
Okay.
the other-
And we got a window to do this.
Yeah.
And we have to act, because once spring comes,
Yep.
a lot starts happening there.
Yep.
We want to be done with it
Yeah.
during the winter.
And an RDA has been filed for the demo. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be for the next meeting.
Okay. So we'll have that in our
So
next meeting.
that's,
Good.
and the bond foundations and stuff like that, I think the town can level that out and fill over it.
Just to make a note, I know that the demolition of the building, David and I had a conversation, I'm looking at Ruth, conversation with Christine to make sure that it happens well before the vernal pool season. So that,
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
yeah, which is why doing it sooner
Well,
rather than later, yeah.
It's not a certified
Or-
vernal pool or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
but it's
a
likely,
pond for the cows.
yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else? No, okay, good.
Not really.
Any surprises when DPW did some of the cleanup?
It's all junk.
Yeah.
It's all junk.
Yeah, it's,
Several people have told me that they wish they had known about all the cars. They would have liked to buy them.
Wow.
they're shells.
It-
Yeah, there's-
They're rotted out.
Yeah,
Believe
I
it-
remember the Rambler Classic. I mean, that was a nice car.
Yeah. Listen,
40 years ago?
No comment.
I have a lot of antiques, all right? I don't have time in my
Just re-
lifetime to finish my projects. Them projects
Just remember,
were a
guys.
lot bigger.
Just remember, guys, this is not a Conservation Commission project.
Yep, it's not, nope. DPW's kicking butt, though. They're doing a really good
Yeah.
job. They've
Yeah.
done a lot. Okay, let's keep moving. I mentioned last meeting or a couple meetings ago that we would be reviewing the MOUs that we have with COS, with the mountain biking guys, and with the soccer group. We're not going to go through with that now, but just giving you a heads up. Still on my list of things that we'll get to. I did also want to mention that we had a request, speaking of agriculture, and Mike Raisbeck, he asked me if it was possible to have some maple sugaring operation being done on any of our properties in town. He will be willing to come and make a request presentation at some point. If we are amenable to listening to it. And I'm okay with that in principle. I'd have some constraints and certain, how you're going to get in there, or you're not going to leave lines there, because most of the time it's lines, not buckets anymore things like that, but I just kind of wanted to get a,
Never hurts to listen.
sorry?
Never hurts to listen.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
okay. So I told him that I'd mention it. He will put something together. We can get it onto the agenda. I know sugaring season is getting earlier and earlier every year.
Well, it could go away too.
So, yeah, so,
I mean, you need the freeze, you need
yep.
everything.
Yeah, it's got to go right. Yep. So he and I know Jamie Durgay. Jamie's been doing this for years. So Mike partners up with Jamie, and they'd do some. And I don't know which sites of ours, which conservation sites of ours, have enough maple trees to make it worthwhile. You don't want to do it for one tree, but on the other hand, I don't want like hundreds of miles of blue pipe hose going through our conservation areas either. That have to be removed, things like that. But, okay, all right, I'll let them know that we're amenable to listening. Would like to see somewhat of a detailed plan. It would be a for-profit in that he's going to sell the maple syrup, but, nobody's going to make a fortune here, so just to say that would be the plan. Cricket Spring, we've, I think this happened. I'm trying to remember the timing with our last meeting, but we did install a temporary walkway at Crooked Spring at the end near Graniteville, and then subsequently got swamped with water, and the water's now gone down. There was probably a beaver back there as well. We took out a little bit of the beaver dam. I don't want to kill another beaver, so we're not going to be putting any more traps out for any more beavers. David and I talked about getting an RDA for longer term, RDA, right?
Yeah.
For longer term breaching of the dam, but if the beaver keeps coming back, we'll have to see. But I really don't like the idea of having folks that use that site going up to Graniteville Road and coming back into the site. It's really not safe coming back into the site, and it's a really good site. So trying to balance, keep the critter happy, at the same time allow people to use this site the way it is. I did talk with Christine Clancy about the long-term plan there, and because of the stormwater on that street that goes directly into the brook, they will include this as part of what they're doing this year, which is a Graniteville Road watershed study, and she'll include this in it so that probably a year from now they'll have some kind of a recommendation on what to do. Meanwhile, if we wanted to build a bridge across that and replace the walkway that's in the pretty much in the water, it doesn't make sense to build that bridge because their solution to the stormwater management may mean take the bridge down. So we're gonna have to wait. We're just gonna have to live with it for a while, and we'll deal with that. We'll monitor the beavers. We'll probably do a 3-year. The
3 years,
RDA would
yeah.
cover for 3 years, and I think that would probably be the right compromise for critters and humans, and we'll see what we can do on that. Peter, do you have any update on Freeman Lake? Anything new?
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's quite all right. The fellow that's kind of been a consultant to at least some of the residents up there, kind of ad hoc, Peter Severance, came to our meeting, the public meeting we had, and in a chat with him and Christine, we asked him to put his additional thoughts in writing, which he's done. Christine asked our consultant which of those additional scope items could be done within existing budgets and which might be a future study, because we don't have a blank check. And so she's working that out with our consultant. And a couple of things were easy to add, measuring oxygen and whatnot. A few others were probably cost money. So that's in play. There'll probably be a recommendation for doing something later. So meanwhile, it's kind of on hold over the winter. They are going to be sampling every month, starting in what, David? April? Maybe, or
Yes.
in
yes.
spring.
And
then have recommendations.
Yeah.
Well,
come
I
back
forgot what
with
the contract said, but we hope probably be a year from now, really.
Yeah, although there's going to be another public input session.
Yes, thank you.
In the not too distant future.
Yeah.
you know, to talk about the recommendations.
Okay, thanks for that update. David, agents report?
So I issued an emergency order of conditions to St. John's Church on Middlesex Street. They were having, like a lot of people in town, having some flooding issues with the parking lot that if it were to freeze would really be a serious safety threat to patrons and employees of the church. So they hired Joseph's Landscaping, Joe Hyder, to do a temporary fix. Basically, was to dig a big hole, put some crushed stone in it for the water to drain and then infiltrate. But so that was approved, but the order of conditions, or the emergency certification says, they need to file a notice of intent by May 1st for a long-term solution that complies with the stormwater standards. So we will be expecting that.
And do you want to also provide an update on 348 Boston Road?
Yes. Actually, this was an abutter that came in on something that was related to the new house that's being built on that site.
This is almost in the Billerica line
Yes.
on
Yes.
Boston Road.
Yes. It turned out that again, the foundation permit was issued without me signing off on it. Luckily, the house itself is just outside the buffer zone. They did actually have the wetlands flagged, so the house is outside of the buffer zone. But there's like clearing and grading and incidental work that's in the buffer zone. And Carl was out on site with me. We didn't shut him down because we felt that was a little bit too draconian, because they were just about ready to start pouring the footings.
They
for the
were
foundation.
pouring, I think, when we were there.
Yeah.
They were.
So, but required them to file an after-the-fact RDA for the work in the buffer zone, and so that's going to be on the 23rd.
And to be clear, I believe this was a gap internal to the town that the contractor seemed to be doing almost above and beyond. I mean, he had the wetlands flagged and all that.
Yeah, that was very lucky.
Yeah, so it wasn't like this. He was trying to get. He was very accommodating to us and wanted to work with us.
Yep.
So I think we made the right call to let him keep going, but he will be filing a.
And he had erosion control put in. So there were no real problems that I saw. It's more of a process issue.
David, you had mentioned earlier something about one of these neighbors had a pond and had diverted some water like a long time ago. But my question is not about that. Did that change the wetland location, or was it just always part of an existing wet? I mean, it didn't change the natural features.
No, it didn't. And now with all of the rain that we've had this year, it did make the neighbor's backyard wetter, no doubt about that. But that's still being resolved between him and the developer. But it doesn't look like anything related to that is in the commission's jurisdiction.
I'm just curious how you tell if the construction made a problem worse, or high rainfall made the problem worse, right?
It didn't help, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing I'd like to say.
Yeah.
That our newest commissioner has been certified by MACC.
Whoa.
So apologize for
Yeah.
not getting that to you sooner.
Great.
So,
Congratulations,
Sorry.
Peter.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so
Good.
it's well deserved. So
Well,
you
thank
can
you.
take my job.
What I learned is that I have a lot more to learn.
Isn't that the
That's what I
truth? Isn't that the truth?
And you never stop learning.
I got it 2 years ago, and I'm ready to go back because I'm still like, huh, what? I go back and relearn some of this stuff. And fortunately, they do let you take classes a lot cheaper the second time around.
Second time, yeah.
Like $15 or something.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
Peter.
good.
Good work.
Good.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good. All right. That's it. I don't think we have any meeting
have
minutes.
no minutes.
We're gonna have to, that Vivian, she is, she's slacking here, you know.
She's gonna put that in the next minutes, Carl.
No, we'll, I'm sure she'll be on it. She'll be on it. She's off at another meeting tonight that got, going late. So, that's it for tonight.
Oh,
Any-
One quick
yeah.
thing, the Chelmsford Carlisle Cranberry Bog meeting was scheduled for
that's
last night.
Okay.
Was not on my calendar, so I didn't even realize that until I just looked it up. And they canceled it due to lack of quorum.
Because I got a call from Iva saying that she saw nothing on the agenda for either town.
Well, there was an agenda. It was posted on the Carlisle
Okay.
Conservation Commission, but it had a funny name. You might have actually skipped over
That's
it.
funny because I put it in my calendar for January 16th from the previous meeting months ago. And I thought that was the night
Yeah,
that they,
and there
that
wa-
they chose.
Yeah, and there was a published agenda on their website for last night, and it was the Cranberry Bog.
Okay, We'll connect with Sylvie and find out
But,
what's
yeah,
going
I'd
on.
like to be part of that.
Yeah,
if I
that'd be
may.
next week, a week from tonight.
Yeah. You can ask them if they know where Hart Pond is.
If you could let me know when you talk to her, so I can let Iva know.
I'm glad she's got your number. She has my number, I should say. She has my number, so I have talked to Iva. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Moved by Peter, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Chris, good night.
night,
Dave, good
everybody.
night. Thank you
Good
very
night.
much for staying
Good night,
with
gentlemen.
us. Hope you're healthy,
Thanks.
Chris. Good night.
Hey, we'll try. We'll try.
I have
Thanks.
a
He looks
question,
good.
Because at the Cranberry Bog on the Carlisle side, they have a little map,
Yeah.
and our upper pond